Hey guys, welcome to your channel. I am going to give you some guidelines regarding some important articles from today's Hindu newspaper. I have consciously avoided some articles whose topics are overlapped. One important article I have found today's Hindu newspaper in national column is plea in Supreme Court on voting rights of under trial and convicts. This article discusses about the points that in India, under trials and convicted persons are actually deprived of the voting rights, which is the largest political right in a democratic country. So it covers both prelims and mains topic. From prelims point of view, we have to very carefully notice who can cast vote and who cannot cast vote. Who cannot cast vote at present scenario in India. Section 62(5) of the Representative of People Act, Chapter 43 of the General Elections 2014 Reference Handbook. Under these two laws, under these two statutes, who cannot cast vote? Under trial prisoners in police custody, means a person who is in lawful police custody, and a person who is convicted. This type of persons cannot cast vote. Here what you have to maintain a difference, a distinction, police custody and detainee. The word detainee is a bit different from the police custody. Detainee means the person who a person who has been actually detained under Preventive Detention Act, and police custody means who is a person who has been arrested by police and who is in under lawful police custody. A detainee can cast vote, while a person in police custody or a under trial prisoner or a convicted person cannot cast vote. So who can cast vote? A person in bail can cast vote, and a person detained under Gundas Act, National Security Act, Conservation of Foreign Exchange and Prevention of Smuggling Activities Act, and a person detained under another Preventive Detention Act can cast vote in elections. So what is the controversy? And what is the doctrine of Section 62(5) of the Representative of People Act? The doctrine behind this section is doctrine of civic death. That means a person who has gone to jail or a person who is in under trial loses all his civic and political rights. But this right is at the present scenario, at controversy, at present in Indian context. Why? Because it is a kind of discriminatory. Discriminatory in what sense? It has not differentiated among under trial and convicted. When a convicted person, we can say that there is a chance that a convicted person might lose his political rights, but under trial person is different, because in case of under trial person, his guilty has not been proved till now. Even in the worldwide, there is a trend that even convicted persons can cast vote in many countries as per the recent amendment law. But in such a scenario, in a democratic country like India, even under trial, why a under trial cannot cast vote? Because his guilty is not proved till now. And another discriminatory point is that a detainee can cast vote. And what is the difference between detainee and under trial? In case of both detainee and under trial, the general viewpoint is that in both cases, the person's guilt has not been proved till now. So if a detainee can cast vote, then why under trial person cannot cast vote? This is another point here. Alright, and another important thing is that Article 14, 19 and 20 of Indian Constitution provides freedom of liberty and expression. So depriving a convicted person and under trial from casting vote actually deprive them from the constitutional rights provided under Article 14, 19, 21. Again, Article 326 of the Indian Constitution gives a voting right to everyone, especially who has acquired age of the adult franchise. But here there is a concern that it only says that who can cast vote. It has not discussed about the other natures of the voting rights. Right. In that way, you see, many democratic countries recently, including South Africa and Canada, has removed this provision. Here, even convicted person can cast vote. So, as a whole, we have to point out that what are the reasons. We have to discuss in two scenarios. One is national scenario and one is international scenario. And we have to give reference of the Indian Constitution while writing answers. If we find any question that critically analyze the recent scenario where a under trial person, a convicted person cannot cast vote, do you support, to what extent you support this idea that a convicted or a under trial person cannot cast vote? In this answer, you have to first give an introduction, then you have to bring the reference of that who can cast vote and who cannot cast vote. You have to justify in your answer with relevant section. You need not to give all the sections, but you have to mention at least 1 or 2 points, lawful points, where examiner will know that your answer is, your point is justified. Then you have to mention of the doctrine of civic debt, which is the base or core of the section 62(5) of the Representative of People Act. Then you have to give counterpoints. Right, that what are the Indian provisions, what are the provisions of the Indian Constitution which provides right, and what are the international scenario. After that, you have to again give a balanced line, a balanced paragraph. In this way, if you face question from this article, you have to write answer in this. Another important article is the Election Commission toothless or is it refusing to bite? The article is at the recent context that where Supreme Court has to frequently remind Election Commission of its duties and power. It is written in Indian Constitution that when election process is going on, the courts will not interfere. But despite such provision, Supreme Court has to intervene in the process because of some inabilities, some unmindful activities of the Election Commission, where Election Commission has not been able to sufficiently address the relevant concerns. In such a scenario, from the article, we have to cover 2 points, two important aspects, that relevance of model code of conduct and the power of the Election Commission and the relevance of the Election Commission. The most controversial point of the Election Commission is appointment and power. Power inherently comes from the appointment. It is while we write answer in regarding this thing, that power and appointment of the Election Commission, we can cite some international reference. I have already mentioned in my previous lectures also that when we write answers, it would be good to justify our answer if we refer to the international scenario. In this case, as per the article, that in many countries, what happened, the election process is quite transparent, and most of the constitutional bodies in other countries are appointed by collegium system. Right, here again question mark comes. When collegium system regarding Supreme Court itself is controversial, then how we can think that the same collegium system will work for Election Commission. But here our argument is that collegium system in appointing Supreme Court judges, though it invites controversy, but it is much more relevant and it's much more efficient at present context. Well, another important article is CSIR plans genome sequencing to map population diversity. It is a very important article. As per the government's project, there is a large project will be held to gather genome sequence. And it is very important. I am always telling you that whenever there is a science and technology news, if news is especially related with the welfare of the human society, then the news bears very much important. So you have to here find out that what is genome sequence, what are the various methods of genome sequence, what are its benefits, and what are the possible threats. Genome sequences. We all know that our DNA has various organisms. Genome sequences is mainly, in simple terms, keep it in mind, you are GS student. You are not a specialized student. You are not a specialized student. So try to use a simple language. You need not to go into depth. Here, your duty is not to consider this from science and technology viewpoint, but your duty is to relate the news to the human society, how it can help human society. Your duty is not to go to the in-depth technology. Right. Decoding genome sequence is simply the decoding of genes, means decoding of nucleotide, base, etc. in DNA. And what are each various benefits or various uses? It can help in genetic disease risks, because genome sequence can determine that what kind of gene consists of what kind of diseases, how to prevent them. In their treatment response, population diversity, human evolution. Another important word you try to find is what is junk DNA. There are two methods of genome sequence. One is clone by clone and another is whole genome shotgun. Try to find out these two methods. If you consider all these aspects and prepare a note, then your note will be fulfilled from this point of view. And equally, you have to find out that what might be the possible threats of genome sequences. Whether is there any possibility of whether there is a matter of secrecy. What happens if the database has been stolen? Yeah, if the database has been broken, then what are the challenges in collecting a first database of genome sequence? Try to find out all this.